I stayed in touch with people. I connected with coaches, other players, built relationships. And then once coming out of football, once all that was said and done and my fun was had,
Welcome to another episode of Entrepreneurship Exposed with your guy Beez, where we talk about everything related to entrepreneurship, but always with a twist of business acquisitions. And one of the things I promote the most is networking, right? And it's not just about networking and who knows me. It's not just about who I know, it's who knows me, right? I know Elon Musk, but he don't know me, so it don't really matter. Right. So a few weeks ago, I was at a mastermind and, just networking with people and just talking to everybody and just having a great conversation. And then I came across this dude. Actually, we didn't speak at first. He went up and was speaking and he was talking about just like motivational things and then also business. And I was like, oh, this dude, yeah, he's saying all the things I want to say and I was loving it. And then he loved what I said too. And then ever since then we connected, went out to eat, and we might even be doing business together in the future, right? So networking is extremely powerful. It leads to great relationships. It leads to even more opportunities. And today I want to introduce y'all to an amazing person, my guy, Kyle Auffray. What's good, Kyle? How you feeling, bro?
Mr. Beez, how are you? Great, man. Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Oh, man, that's great, bro. It's great having you on here. We have some great conversations already. I love it. Thank you for introducing me to that specific person, which I won't mention.
You could talk about Brian McKinney.
Brian McKinney. That was so awesome because he had just won was inducted into the College Hall of Fame like right before we went to dinner and everything. And when I saw him pull up, the irony is I don't know many NFL football players because I follow soccer more, being from Jamaica. But I knew him, and I was like, oh, shit. Let's go. Well,
when a 6'8", 350, 400-pound guy walks in the room, everyone kind of knows who he is, right?
So. Exactly. But the irony is that most people would probably want to talk about his NFL career and talk about him as a football player. I was more interested in the shirt he had on and the company. Can I say the company too?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, let's chat.
And I was like, oh, what's this? And then when I heard the whole story behind it, I was like, damn, that's awesome. So he is a perfect example of what we're going to talk about on this episode. Athlete turned investor, right? And we exposing what that really means. But before that, Kyle, tell the people more about you, who you are, your story, and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, so my name's Kyle. That's a given. I currently live outside of Atlanta, born and raised in New York. Spent my life playing football, grew up playing football, grew up wanting to play in the NFL. I have my, from when I was 4 years old, I believe it was, the paperwork, 5 years old when I could first start writing. It was, what do you want to be when you grow up? And everyone in our class I still have the paper saved. Everyone had firefighter, police officer, yada, yada. And I said, I want to play in the NFL. And so I lived up to that. Long story short, took the long route, college walk-on, earned scholarship, undrafted free agent, went on to sign 4 NFL contracts with 4 teams, Cardinals, Patriots, Browns, Raiders. So I did it the hardest possible way. No politics, no coaches, no trainers, no transfer portal, no NIL, none of that stuff when I played. Just old school, just roll up the sleeves and work. And I took that.
Hey guys, okay, before we get to the episode, I just had to take a moment to say thank you to everybody that's been supporting Entrepreneurship Exposed. Your guy Beez here, and just having a great time having these conversations, showing you every aspect of entrepreneurship, because there's a lot of things out there that are, seems like all the glitz and the glam, everything looks good, but we want to make sure that you see some of the obstacles. Not things that will stop you, but just things that you need to know before you dive into this world of entrepreneurship. If you like this content, you like these videos, please just do me a favor and just make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Make sure that you click the like button comment on it. Just tell me what you feel about each topic so I'll know how to adjust for other topics and have other guests on. And make sure that you hit the notification bell, because YouTube's kind of weird like that. And if you don't have that notification bell, even if you're subscribed to me, you won't see a lot of my content. All right, so if you would like to support us, that would be the best way. Thank you so much. Now back to the episode.
Mentality, that mindset, that work ethic, and I brought it with me into life, into business, into life after sports. And networking, meeting people has always been a strong suit of mine. I learned it from my dad, learned it growing up in New York. It was all about people, the hustle and bustle of New York you always hear of. It's a city full of grinders, city never sleeps, yada, yada. I still don't sleep a lot, I work a lot, but just growing up in that world, my dad worked on Wall Street, seeing that, ran his own business, that whole world, and how the more work you did, the harder you work, the more people you know, the better your network, was a direct reflection of your quote unquote success in life, whatever that means for you. So put that all together, turned into a pretty successful career. It wasn't the dream career. I didn't play 10, 15 years in the NFL. I wasn't a Pro Bowler. I wasn't a Hall of Famer, nothing like that. Bounced around on a few teams, practice squads, camps, all that stuff. And but every stop along the way, I maximized my network. I stayed in touch with people. I connected with coaches, other players, built relationships. And then once coming out of football, once all that was said and done and my fun was had, I took that into the business world, started working for another company for a few years, built it 10x, 20x, more than that, the company, and then got into kind of my own thing. So had a long journey, and that's kind of my background in a nutshell. And here we are today. I run business strategy development for Comcast Sports Tech. It's one of the venture capital arms for Comcast, which is a Fortune 30 company, as well as I have my hand in a handful of other companies, both inside and outside of the program, where I'm able to, after our program, it's a 6-month cohort accelerator style program. After that, I'm allowed to continue to work with those companies as an advisor, as a coach, whatever the terminology you want to use, advisory board. Yeah. And then I have the ability to also do my own thing, whether it's outside investment, working with other companies, consulting, you name it, business development, strategy, tech, innovation, AI, I'm doing it all.
Wow. So Kyle, okay, I think it's an amazing journey because, okay, you said yourself, you had a decent NFL career. I'm going to assume you weren't like, LeBron rich coming out, making that type of money. But people who might be LeBron rich, and I'm saying his name, but he's probably the worst example because he is an amazing businessman too. Yeah, but a lot of people...
You can't mess up LeBron rich.
You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of people who mess up close to LeBron rich, and then they come out... They were more focused on their money, their earnings in the league, NFL, NBA, whatever it may be, and then they come out and they almost broke again, yep. Right? So for you to not only did you come out, it's not like you were making LeBron money, but then you probably even more successful now, in my opinion. I think so because of the things that you're doing. I love it. So I think it's even more successful. But you also skipped over something that those who at least do this are better off, which is they come out of the sports, they at least become some sort of entrepreneur. And then that's their second life, their second career. You skipped entrepreneur in a way. You went to that concept of investor, which I think is a great jump to make because people feel like you have to be that entrepreneur, you have to be that CEO, and you have to, grind and run and build the business up from scratch. But no, you're investing. You're acquiring pieces of companies. Some of them is going to be passive returns to you, and you're helping them to grow through your knowledge and your contacts and things, the contacts that you made because you were networking, right? Which I said was an extremely important aspect of success. Man, I love it. I think it's the perfect way. So what made you see that? Or did you not even see it and it just happened that way, that you skipped the entrepreneur side and went more straight to the investor side?
Yeah, so when I first got done playing, I worked for a company as the VP of sales for 4 years. So between my football career and where I am now, my current, I guess call it a career or hobby, or I don't know, what do you call it? What do you call just running your own show, right?
Yeah.
So I spent 3.5, 4 years with a company, and I was their VP of sales. I oversaw 50 plus national sales reps, and we had triple digit growth year over year for 4 years. And I oversaw that whole thing. But when push comes to shove at the end of the day, I didn't have equity in the company. When I asked for equity, it was a challenging conversation to have. No one wanted, right? I'm building someone else's company for them. And when the opportunity came for me to work in this program with Comcast, which people don't know, they're the second or third largest VC in the country, right? They invest more, they own more, they acquire more businesses than almost anybody else in the US. And they had this new program that they just started. They wanted to launch it right in March of 2020. Terrible time to launch a new program. But it was, come in, you're going to be working with 10 innovative startups. You're going to be working with the sports world, NASCAR, PGA, WWE, Premier League, all NBC Sports. All of the Comcast Sports broadcast partners are going to be involved in this program. And my role was kind of to help navigate, what I say is I become the translator for startups, early stage technology companies, where I communicate what they have and spell it out for the sports world, and then help them navigate the sports world, because a lot of them don't know, like yourself, right? If I said, hey, Beez, go sell something to the NFL, you'd be like, I don't know where to start, right? I don't watch football, I don't, whatever. Well, a lot of tech people aren't necessarily sports people. They just, those two things don't collide until there's an end result, right? Where now sports navigate and run based off of technology. So that role is very valuable, where my two strengths were sales and strategy and understanding the sports world. And the biggest weaknesses for a tech startup or a tech CEO or early stage company is we struggle with sales, right? And if we're going to sell into the sports world, we don't really know the sports world that well. So I was able to put myself in a position where I can help we now have 30 companies in the portfolio that I can help them through our program with the resources and the strategy of Comcast and a Fortune 30 company. We're very light investment in the capital side and very heavy on the resource side and the knowledge and the training and the educating, because that's, as you know, right? You say a lot of lessons learned in business are from losing or from making mistakes. Well, if we can help avoid that mistakes and help them coach them through that, they're better off on the back end. And that's kind of where it was like, wow. So instead of me just running a company, selling a product for one company and doing all this, I can now go out and work with 10 companies at a time across the board, where my day is different. There's a lot of opportunity. And then outside of ours, which is now a 6-month program, I can keep working with all those companies if I want to, right? If they say, hey, we want help with sales or strategy, I could consult for them on my own. I have the ability to invest in them if I wanted to. However it works, I can then continue to help push them. Comcast has an equity position, and then I can help continue to take them to market and kind of work with the companies. Not that I want to, I would love to work with all of them, but my talents and my network suits some companies better than others, right? And it's not fair to me to go to a company that does X, Y, Z if that's not where I can help them, right? If you said, hey, a company, we have a great product for rugby, right? Rugby's a big sport in the world, right? Oh man, we want somebody to get us to rugby. I'm not your guy. I can't bring value than anyone else because I'm just going to be cold calling onto rugby leagues and rugby teams, right? But if you have a viable product that can fit into football or college sports or something where I can bring a lot of value to, and the program's over and you want to say, hey, can you help? We want to keep you on board. We want to keep you on either a retainer or keep you on our advisory board to help us navigate this industry and all this. Yeah, would love to help. I can see that I can bring value. I'm not going to waste your time if I can't do it, right? If I can't do it, I'm just going to say, hey, I'm here if you need me, but I'm not the best option for you. And some I think I am, right? And so those opportunities have weeded themselves out, and I'm working with a handful of companies still to this day. And some companies just check in with me every month and say, hey, here's a few things we're doing. What are your thoughts? And I have no problem helping them out. I love doing it. It's really fun, makes my day exciting, a lot of creativity, a lot of door opening. and just matchmaking, networking, all combined into one, with venture capital, with investment, with equity, with business development. And I also get to do a lot of cool perks. I get to go to sporting events. I was just like, when I saw you, right, on Saturday night, I was at the Miami Clemson game in Miami on the field with BMAC, right? And then come
Why you did that instead of dinner? How to go to that?
I wasn't I was invited by someone else. I couldn't invite. And then Sunday on that NASCAR with tickets.com and NASCAR, and we're down in Homestead down there, right? And so part of our program is I get to go to golf tournaments and NASCAR races and WWE events, and now we just signed a partnership with Premier League, and I get to do stuff with the NFL or Major League Soccer or whoever it is. And like, to me, like, perks is part of it too, right? Like, why do you do what you do? Is a lot of people, why do I do business? I want to make money. I want to spend more time with my family. I want freedom. I want to do that. Well, I have all that, and I have the ability to go to cool sporting events, travel with my family, travel without my family, and just that whole thing. It's been a really good fit. It's been a lot of work. It's not easy. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of hours. It's year round. And you work with startups, you started businesses, right? One is hard, right? I work with 10 a year and now 30 in our portfolio, with 10 more coming in next year's program. And we narrow the 10 for next year's program out of 1,500 applicants. So we have to look through and vet and invest in and vet through 1,500 applicants to narrow it down to 10 that we're going to invest in.
Yeah.
So there is a lot of work. We have a whole team. We have a fantastic team, just like you do. But that's what makes it work. But I stick to my lane. I'm good at what I do, and I just keep on plugging.
And a lot of work, but when it's something you enjoy, it makes it a little bit easier, right?
Well, people always joke around. I'm sure you get it all the time. Do you actually work? Like, what do you like? Are you really working? And it's true, right? And the answer is yes and no. I am working. Essentially, I'm working. This is what This is what I do. But it's not like work, as in like, I have to, put my lunch pail together and go to work. It's like, great, I have the opportunity to go do this every day. Is I wake up with the ability to say, man, I'm blessed to be able to do this, and I don't consider it work. I think I consider it that I have put myself in a position to be very successful in life, and some call it work. I don't know what the right term is, but whether it's through just the hustle, the grind, the strategy, the networking, all of that combined, the building the relationships, right? That's the work. And then this is all just execution, which to me is easy.
There we go. I'm gonna start saying that. Like, I don't work. I just execute. That's not, because that's what it is.
Building, right? You just build. I'm a go-getter. I'm a get shit done kind of person, and that's call it work, but that's
there we go.
Sure.
Like, when people say, "Oh, so what do you do?" I just execute and get shit done. There we go.
I am. And that's it, though, right? Like, when people ask my wife what I do, and she just like rolls her eyes, like, "Oh, here I gotta go into this." She's like, I just tell them, don't tell them. Just say I'm in sales. Yeah, right? Whatever, right? Everything is sales. So I just tell her to tell people I'm in sales, and because people aren't really interested, they're just asking for small talk, right? So I'm just like, tell them I'm in sales. Like, that's it.
There you go. But listen, I wouldn't sell it that short though, man, because what you're doing is pretty awesome. And it's funny because a lot of times I'm speaking to people and I'm talking about, 9 to 5 is not security and blah, blah, blah. But there are some people who are still passionate about their 9 to 5. And I say, fine, if you want to stay in your 9 to 5, make sure you have other streams of revenue too. And, acquire some houses, some real estate, maybe acquire a business that could be passive on the side. But you kind of merge the two, right? You're like, listen, I got a corporate career, but not really from the corporate career style. It's like an investor in a corporate career.
Yeah, so it's a partnership, right? So I essentially work for a venture capital company out of Colorado called Boomtown Accelerators. Mm-hmm. They go into a company like a Comcast and say, hey, what's going to make Comcast different than any other their competitors is going to be innovation, technology, all this, right? But corporations, and this is not a Comcast thing, this is all corporations, they have blinders on. They have blinders on their products, their solutions. When you go into the Fortune 500 companies, right, they have blinders on their stock price, right, and shareholders and all this. There's way more to it than we could ever get into. Yeah. But we go in and our team and the principals at Boomtown, which are fantastic people, they go in and say, hey, we're going to be a non-biased, a non-political arm we're going to partner up. And we're going to vet the companies. We're going to search the world for the best technology innovation. We're going to find out from you and your partners where your pain points are. And then we're going to bring in viable solutions to solve for those problems. And not only are we going to bring in viable solutions, we're then going to train them, educate them, help them build out their platform, their product, and their tech to best suit the needs of Comcast and its partners. And we're going to do all that work for you as a 50-50 partner in this program. And we're going to call it Comcast Sports Tech. Right? So you get the power and the backing of a Fortune 500 company like a Comcast, right? You get all of their network of broadcast channels and sports partners and other partners, right? So people don't realize Comcast also owns Xfinity, right? Which has 35 million mobile subscribers, 35 million users. You got NBC Sports, which is all the broadcast, and they do the Olympics and all these other things. Then you have like an entity like Comcast Business, right? Which has, out of the Fortune 1000, they probably work with over 900 of those companies to bring them connectivity, broadband, firewalls, service, phone, cellular, you name it, right? But you're talking major companies, you're talking Walmarts and Home Depots and all this. Well, imagine if Comcast can invest in early stage startup to a sports tech program that it's, say, like an AI, like the Let's Chat, which is live in real time AI language translation. Not only can that translation services and AI work in the sports world for broadcast, for consumers, for fan engagement, for ticketing, but it can also work for restaurants and automotive and hotels and hospitality and retail. And so not only does Comcast get a real equity stake in a really early stage company, once they develop it and bring it out to market, it doesn't just go to the sports entities. They have the ability to go to all of their businesses and turn the Comcast and Comcast Business sales force into a sales extension of these startup companies where we have a really innovative tech. No one else in the world has it. We've already vetted the technology. Now we're going to go deploy it to all of our partners. And guess what? Everyone wins, right? You're bringing new innovation to your companies, to your clients. You're separating yourself from other telcos in the space, right? Why is Comcast different than X, Y, and Z company? Well, everyone's got a cell phone carrier, right? Everyone has an iPhone, Android, it's all the same. Right, but what makes XYZ different than XYZ, right? Well, innovation, new tech, AI, right? Cool stuff, like all the bells and whistles is really what separates it. And if you hear when you hear like an Android or an Apple releases a new iPhone, they don't ever talk about the phone. What do they talk about? What do they sell you on? Better camera, better screen, this and that, right? All the other features and the cool stuff, the sizzle, they don't actually say, oh, well, our upload speed is faster and our download speed and our this and that. No one cares about the chips. No one cares. They want the sizzle, right? And so right now, the sizzle, and I'm sure every one of your listeners know, is all this is AI, is technology. It's machine learning, it's large language models. It's all this stuff, right? And it's fan engagement. How do we make everything better processes, automation, right? And so those technologies we can then roll out to Fortune 1000 companies through our program, and all of that looks good for Comcast. It's a win-win. We have to just get essentially Comcast out of its own way of being a mega machine and saying, hey, let's also bring in a group like Boomtown, where we're going to help you bring in some really cool technology that is going to shape and change the way Comcast and its clients do business. And that's what we built.
I love it. And so let's dig into that a little bit more, kind of like a case study. Now I do hope one day very soon we have Brian McKinney on here.
We can do that, absolutely.
Oh, that would be great. So I'll definitely get it from his perspective.
Yeah.
But give me a summary of how that whole Let's Chat, deal and that investment and everything came about.
So BMAC was involved in Let's Chat before me. He brought Let's Chat to me in 2020. I had announced my role with the sports tech program, and he reached out to me and said, hey, I have a cool technology company that I invested in like 2 years ago. He was involved with them since like 2017 or 2018. And he goes, I've already actually brought him to the NFL. and they already work with the NFL as a client. And he was like, you gotta check it out, meet with these guys. I said, great, would love to. Got on a call with Jordan, who's the CEO, and Matt, who's the president, they're co-founders. And they were telling me about the technology, AI. And this was kind of before AI was really where it is. This was 4 years ago. This was 3 years ago, right? AI in the last 12 months has gone from like zero, started from the bottom. Now we're here, right? So it was like, I was like, cool, this looks really cool. I love it. I don't necessarily understand AI that much, right? This is 2020. And I was like, but I think you guys should definitely apply to our program. I think obviously if you're bringing value to the NFL, you could bring value to other sports entities that are in our program. And they applied, and that year I think we had somewhere between 700 and 900 applicants. And I told them, like, I wasn't involved in the onboarding application. I wasn't involved in the process of selecting teams. And so I just told the group, I said, hey, by the way, here's this company called Let's Chat that had them apply, check them out, take a look, what you think. And they got in. They got all the way into the final 10. They signed a deal. They came in, and it was just like most of the teams we bring in will look at one or two companies, right? Like, hey, like we have like one company that we bring in out of the 10 will have one partner. Like, hey, PGA Golf really wants to work with you, right? Or NASCAR really wants to work with you. Or NBC really wants to work with you. Like, you'll get one partner that's a really strong partner, and then you'll have a secondary partner that we work with you through the program to help work on your product, a commercial deal, what that looks like. And then towards the end of our program, we let them work with all the partners. But at the beginning, it's overwhelming to get 5 to 10 commercial partners on the table at once. It's a lot of work. Well, coming into this program, Let's Chat pretty much had interest from all the partners. And they're like, well, we want to do it, right? Because it's a very simple integration. Language barriers are global. This is a global solution, right? And even in the US, right, 25% of the US doesn't speak any English. Over 50% English isn't a first language in the US. And so even just US-based businesses, you're bringing in a product that can help you solve for, or help you address, or help you engage with 20 to 30% of a market that you didn't have before, right? If I said, hey, I have a product that will help you increase your reach by 20 to 30%, would you be interested?
Oh, hell yeah.
Right? Well, hell yeah, everyone would, right? It's the engagement rate, right? Your websites, your mobile apps, your on-site, right? They do everything. And so it's just a really cool, right? This doesn't have to be a whole Let's Chat sales pitch here, right? But it's a very simple solution, well thought out, with a global, it has global prowess. It can expand across the globe. It can work in any industry. It can work in healthcare. It can work in education. It can work in automotive. It can work in restaurants. It can work in sports, right? And so when Comcast can see a company like that and can say, man, not only can this help us engage new customers, this can help us train our employees better, right? This can help us expand outside of the US. This can help us be more inclusive, right? You know, we hear the big push for diversity and inclusion, right? They have very big products going on, not products. They have very big promotions going on right now with Comcast for inner city programs. So Project Rise, Project Up are a lot of inner cities to bring connectivity to inner cities, to bring connectivity into lower income, people who just got to the country, right? Immigrant families. Well, guess what? None of them do. Speak English very well. Yeah. Right. So if a barrier to getting better service, better education, better healthcare, a better car, a better house, a better job, if language barriers are in there, why not solve? Imagine being able to solve for all those language barriers. So now you're opening up the doors for the world to have access. You hear this all the time. The healthcare system's broken, the education system's broken, the housing market's broken, right? This is broken. Well, part of that broken is broken English. Is a language barrier, and if you can remove that language barrier, does the healthcare get better? Does a doctor trying to speak to a patient who doesn't speak English? Yeah, there's going to be a lot of issues, right? So if there's a way to merge that gap and have them speak the same language, right? There you go. So anyway, I don't want to make this a 45-minute Let's Chat thing, but that's an example of a very cool, diverse product that came into our sports tech program that is now being rolled out across all of Comcast, across all the verticals, across multiple sports leagues. They work with the NFL, Major League Baseball, MLS, you name it. And that's just what I get to do all day long, is have those conversations with C-level executives and the front office of sports teams about how we can bring cool innovation that's backed by Comcast to your clients, to your fans, to your teams, to your leagues, to your sponsors, and help you increase fan engagement, customer success, customer engagement, employee, blah, blah, sentiment, you name it, and we do it all.
I love it, man. I love it. And to think that came to you, you said right before 2020, right? Or right around 2020?
Yeah, so our program was supposed to launch in March of 2020. And then, we had the 14 days to stop the spread. It got delayed. It got pushed to the fall. Then it got pushed all the way to 2021. So the first year of the Comcast Sports Tech program actually didn't start until 2021.
And in that time, if you're able to say this, in that time, you've taken, what you've done with Comcast, with Let's Chat. How much has it grown in terms of maybe valuation or whatever you
so a lot of these companies, right, they come in anywhere in the ballpark 2 to 5 million valuation, right? Some upwards of 10. This year's program, that's a lot higher valuations because of the success of our program, right? But so you come in at, I'm just going to do even numbers. Let's say you come in at a $5 million valuation, right? Then you get investment by Comcast, and then you leave the program with a commercial deal or a commercial partner, right? So now you have a paying client, a paying customer. You're also talking to a bunch of other opportunities, right? The opportunity to raise capital as a startup is easier when you say you're backed by Comcast, right? And so even if a company comes in at $5 million and leaves at $10 million, right? As an investor, as Comcast being an equity holder, you double your investment in 6 months.
Yep.
And I know you do real estate. I'm sure some people on here do real estate. It's very hard to double an investment in 6 months, right? Or in 12 months, right? And so you're talking 100x. You're talking 100x return, right? And 100% return in within 12 months, and sometimes it's more, right? So a company like Let's Chat right now, which came into the program in the $10 million, $15 million range. Right now they're sitting at a $7,500 million valuation, and they came out of the program end of last year. So it's been a year since they left the program. They're probably sitting over $100 million valuation. They're going to look next year. I think they're looking at doing they're ballparking a 20 to 30 million ARR, and maybe more. That could also, based on a few deals that they have in the works, that could be a monthly MRR.
Okay.
Right? And so you have now a company like Comcast now has equity in an AI-powered language translation tool at a $5 million, $10 million valuation that could be pushing unicorn status in the next 2 years.
Wow, man. I love it. And ARR and MRR is extremely important because you already know how we
annual rate of return, monthly rate of return for.
Yeah, I'm sorry. For anyone who doesn't know, annual rate of return, monthly rate of return. And, we talk about cash flow being king, not cash, not credit, but cash flow. So, taking the company to that level is definitely amazing. Now,
and that's one of many. There's 29 other in our program. They're all doing very well. Like there's so many out there. It's incredible. If you haven't looked at, I'm going to put in a shameless plug here, ComcastSportsTech.com. If y'all want to check out some really early stage investors, early stage startups, ComcastSportsTech.com. You can look through all 30 portfolio companies. There's a video of what they do. If you have interested in getting involved with any of them, just let me know and I will introduce you right to the CEO of any of those companies. So if you want to invest in tech, if you have anything that could benefit your business or your company or your brand, and it's in our portfolio, just contact me, contact Beez, and we'll make it happen for you. That's easy.
No shameless plug there. That's exactly what we want. We want you to share that information to people how they can contact you. So we're going to ask at the end of the episode. But for sure. Definitely.
I don't want to bore people to death. So if I throw it in now, and I don't want to put them to sleep over the next whatever remaining time. So get it in while they're there. So
true. So one of the things I love is the way you describe, you're working with these multiple companies, you're helping them to grow. It's instead of you building one from scratch, you're able to help these multiple companies to grow, right? That's in essence what I do with my business acquisitions, right? One of my most, common sayings is that 25% of a watermelon is better than 100% of a grape.
Correct.
So I'm perfectly fine giving equity. Comcast, you want to come help me get to $1 billion? Yeah, sure. I'll give you equity in this or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Give equity because I want a piece of the bigger pie. Now, you've done that with through Comcast and the way that you have everything structured right now.
Yes.
However, will you be going into your own acquisitions? Is that something that you're interested in as well? Acquiring a cash flowing business completely, wholly yourself, bringing
you want me to buy a car wash, don't you?
Hey, listen.
So maybe, I don't know, right? So I'm involved with a bunch of the companies so out of the 30 portfolio companies that we already have, I have my handful in a bunch. I don't charge them for what I do. I don't tell them, hey, you have to pay me, right? What I say is, hey, I'm going to help you continue to grow your business. I'm going to continue to help you close deals. If I do that, right, throw me some equity and throw me some commission. Right. So give me a split commission equity. I do have bills, right? You have bills too. You gotta have some money, right? Cash flow. Yes, but to your point, yes, it's not, early stage tech startups, you're not doing that for the cash flow because cash flow takes a while. Yeah. I have other opportunities that outside of Comcast, outside of Sport Tech, outside of all this stuff that gives me monthly cash flow that I work in the employee benefit space, in the healthcare space, in that whole world. I have stuff that I've worked on for years that I have built over there. That is my cash flow. But for me is I'm good. I think I told you this. I'm good on cash flow. I'm not great, right? But I want to get there, but I want to see it through everything that I've been building, right? I'm in the build and growth stage right now of what I'm doing. Yeah. And so again, if I have deals with some of these companies where they're on that getting to that 100 mil value, that 20 mil a year ARR or MRR, whatever it is, either one would be great, right? And I have a piece of that, and I get there's a commission piece, there's an equity piece, but I'm doing that copy and paste with a bunch of these companies, and I'm bringing tremendous value to them. Like that becomes my cash flow, is the commission. Right, is the commission side of it becomes my cash flow metric, and then the investment side, the equity, is my long-term play, right? And it's the same thing it's the same metrics that people do for real estate. I buy it, like when people say invest in real estate or whatever, right? I buy a property, I rent it out as my monthly cash flow, and then after 20 years, I now own the property. Someone else paid for it. I had cash along the way, and then I own the property. Right, it's the same concept. I'm just doing it with tech and startups versus real estate. And the reason why, and I actually had this call with Tyler, who was at our event, who was the real estate guy. I said, what's a good real estate return in 3 years, 5 years? Right, if you invested in a real estate property, what are you looking to do in 3 to 5 years with it? Right, if you were to flip it, what do you want that return? Right, well, 100%, 50%, right? 100%, double your money. Is double your money in 5 years in real estate great? Right?
I don't know. I don't think that real estate gets that great of a return.
So exactly, right? So let's call it double your money, right? So again, you're talking from whatever. Let's say you buy $1 million property in 5 years. Can you sell it for $2 million? Maybe, maybe not. If you flip it, invest in it, right, then you're putting in more money, time, then you have to own it, this and that. Great, I get it. I understand real estate is a wealth builder, I get that. If I own $1 million worth of stock or whatever, $1 million worth of stock in a company that's at a 20 mil valuation, right? And in 2 years, that company is now worth 100 mil valuation, right? That's 1,000% return.
Exactly.
Right? So in 2 years, and that's in 2 years, right? So is there more risk in tech and startups? Yes, there's a risk, but if it's an educated risk and you're doing your homework just like you would in real estate, the return, right? If you look at the Fortune 30, where's the Fortune 30? Who's in the Fortune 30? Apple, Amazon, right? Tesla will tell you they're a technology company. They're not a car company, right? All of these companies are tech companies. Google, right? Microsoft, it's technology. The ability to grow and scale in the tech space right? Where you look at Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know. Hopefully everyone knows who Gary V is.
Gary V.
He made all his money off of Facebook and YouTube, all this. He did put in a lot of money, right? He put in 50, 100 grand into that turns into $50 million.
Yep.
And you can't do that in real estate. You can't do that in all this. Now, what you do get, to your point, Beez, I know you do very well. But what you don't get in the route that I'm going is the cash flow. And you're a cash flow guy, right? So I've had to find ways to balance out getting a cash flow situation, which is I do it outside of the tech space. But again, I'm swinging for the fences here. I'm looking for home runs and grand slams, not doubles and singles. I have doubles and singles, right? Already paying my bills, covering everything. I'm looking for home runs and grand slams, which to me, you get in the tech space, right? And you get in early stage startups, you get in AI, right? Think about ChatGPT 12 months ago had $0 in revenue. And right now, I think Microsoft just bought 10% for $20 billion, $10 billion.
Something like that.
They're sitting at an $80, $90 billion valuation. And they just started generating revenue in the last 6 months. And now they're at an $80 billion valuation. So that's the game I'm playing, to where if I have my hand in the game, whether it's commission and equity in 5 tech startups, right? All you really need is one of them to hit a home run. But I'm playing the game where I'm also hands-on. I'm making sure they close deals. I'm involved in the process and the day-to-days and helping them close deals and helping them meet new contacts and get into leagues and teams and this and that. And so I don't want to say I'm guaranteeing my success, but I'm helping my odds. I'm reducing my risk, right? Risk mitigation, business 101. And I'm increasing my odds by being hands-on and heavily involved in these companies and their success outside of our program.
I love that, man. And we do something similar in my space with the acquisitions, and you can see we had it pop up right there, consulting for equity, right? So we'll I could go acquire a business completely myself, do all the work, get it done, blah. Or somebody else is looking to grow and they're at a plateau and they're like, we have to be able to pass that plateau. Hey, the best way to grow your business is by acquiring one. How about I help you to go through that process, and then I'm getting equity, maybe or fee as well, right?
I have a lot of my network. I have a lot of very high net worth people in my network, like yourself, that if some of these companies needs investors, I can help bring investors to the table, right? To help with the cash flow of the business, because these investors like yourself have other businesses. They whatever, they're in real estate or insurance, whatever. They have already made their money, and they want to put money into something like this where they get a 20, 50, 100x return, put in 100, 200, 500 grand into an early stage tech company, and I'm going to, 100x that money in 2 years. They're not getting that anywhere else, and it's disposable income, right? So OPM, right? Other people money, right? So I can help the startup not only build their business, grow their revenues, which is my focus. I hate venture capital in the sense of just raise money, don't actually build a viable product. I'm very focused on building a product, generating revenue. That's the only thing that really matters to me. But when you start scaling really fast and you need more developers and tech work and back office stuff, you do need capital and cash flow in your business. And for people who know anything about enterprise deals or commercial deals, there's usually a 6, 9, 12, 18 month sales cycle in that process to get all the legal and onboarding and shareholder approval. It's a pain in the ass. But once that happens, you go from $0 a month with this client to 10, 15, 20 million a month with a commercial client, and it's just like that. Right, but people say, "Oh, now, right? It's you got lucky." No, it was a 12-month process to get here, right? So, but yeah, so you have all of those opportunities milked into one, and I can bring value not only for my network and my skill set, but also through my network of investors and other opportunities and the like. So,
and I talk often about middleman opportunities, right? A lot of times people want to be the person to create something, to build something huge, whatever. But there's a lot of money to be made in the middleman opportunities, right? So middleman is kind of like what you're doing too. It's like, listen, I'm the connector. I know all these people. I'm bringing in people. I'll tell you right now, Kyle, if I'm going to acquire something and I need an investor and you find it for me, I'm giving you equity just for the introduction or something. It helps me to get the acquisition done. Sure, give that equity because I believe that 25% of watermelon is better than 100% of a grape. And the connections that you're bringing, the resources that you're bringing is helping me to build and do even more. So
correct. And then for me, right, for me or you in that situation, if you're the connector, you don't have to do anything. Like I just made an introduction, they raised some money, I got a little piece, thank you for your helping out, and I just let it sit there, right? But if you're doing that over and over again, right? Again, my biggest investment is time. My second biggest investment is my network, right? Like I don't have to expend a lot of personal capital. I also bring other people first, that people come to me, hey, I want to invest in the companies you're working with. Great, here you go, right? And so it's a really good system I've built. I know you've built a similar one, and you said this when we were at that mastermind with Alexa and ThinkFuel and what they're doing is like, I don't want to be a CEO anymore, right? And we were with Brett, who's my buddy. He left that mastermind and he just hired a CEO. He's been running his own business. He's like, I'm hiring somebody tomorrow. And he did. Right? And so you're the same way. I don't want to be the CEO. I don't want to be that person, right? I want to be I don't know what the role, people call it the chief strategy officer. That's I call it the get shit done person. I'm just going to get shit done and make things happen. I'm the executioner in a positive way. Like I execute on things and move the needle. And I don't want to be CEO ever, right? And I don't want to be a billionaire ever, right? And we talked about that.
Yeah.
I have the billionaire mindset. I have the billionaire work ethic, right? But once you get to a certain point in your life, to become a billionaire, it's like it consumes your whole life. Being a CEO also consumes your whole life. It's for some people and it's not for some people. Exactly. My value to these companies that I work with isn't being the CEO, right? It's helping them, again, generate revenue, close sales, commercial deals, find investors, strategize, meet new partnerships, this and that. That's where my strength is. Some people call that a CEO, but I don't want to deal with the lawyers and the politics. Like, I don't want the political structures and the hierarchy. Like I'm not that.
When there's fires, you always bubble.
I don't like red tape. Red tape doesn't work for me. I don't see red tape, and so that I can't. Right, I probably offend too many people. I my filter is very limited. Right, so but I'm just a go person. As the people I work with at Boomtown and Sports Tech will say, I'm unbossable and unemployable, and I'm unbossable. But I always say, "Oh, this is my boss," and he's like, "No, you're not. You're not a boss." But I don't need a boss. I don't need a boss to tell me how to work. I don't need a boss to tell me to get something done. I don't need a boss to tell me if I'm doing my job right or wrong. I'm gonna. If I need some coaching along the way from people, that's great. If I'm not playing to politics of business, sometimes that's great. But I'm gonna do my job. I'm gonna do it to the best of my abilities, and I don't need people telling me that go. And you're the same way, right? I'm here to get things done. I'm here to move the needle, and I don't need a babysitter or a hand holder. It's gonna get done. So
I love it, bro. So and that's I love the strategy. I love what you're doing with your approach especially on the tech side. Now, I'm going to tell you, in terms of acquisitions, I don't acquire tech companies anymore, right? Mm-hmm. I used to look at SaaS all the time, but because often in tech companies, valuation is done more on their potential growth rather than on their historical performance.
And the revenue, correct, right? Yeah, EBITDA goes out the window, and that's the problem.
Exactly. So that's an issue. It's an issue for me getting in, but that's a great way to exit if you're already in. So it has its uses. I just stay away from it. But the way that you're getting into it is different, and that is phenomenal because now you have these huge exits that you could be a part of as well. But when it comes to the cash flow side, that's why I'm saying to you that I want to definitely have you acquiring some cash flowing businesses, passive ones. That's on the side That's, you and then your expertise and connections and helping with that strategic growth will help any of those companies. But this is not ones that you need to work in, and they will give you the cash flow while you're getting the also.
Look, I'm just gonna send you a check, and you're gonna set that up for me. How does that sound?
Let's go. I got you. Well, you know what, bro? I told you that I have a little something for you, right? So let's start with that. I'm gonna show you something right now. Let me see if the team has it ready, and we're gonna get it up on the screen. This was actually something that I had on my deal board, and I was already going forward with it just because of my name. You'll see in a second. But then I learned more about you and what you do and what you you see, because I heard that you had those bees on your property, and you actually do the honey and do all that stuff yourself. I saw this business. This is just a simple one. And to be honest, I probably wouldn't go for it right now because of the fact that I'm doing these roll-ups of higher value. But I had to when I saw it. And
I'll tell you exactly why you don't want to go for it. There's one line in there is why you don't want to go for it. Guess what it is?
What is it?
You want to guess?
Oh, a line that don't want to go. Wait, the inventory?
Nope. It's not a number.
Honey harvest?
It's the only one that's not a number.
The year?
State.
Oh, the state. Really? That's a bad state to do it in?
Why? So bees, we're going to get into bees here. This is great. By the way, everybody, I have 10 beehives. I have my own apiary on my property here. So bees in Minnesota, the season is very short. You don't have a long honey harvest because of the weather. Right? So like in Georgia where I am, I harvest twice a year. I have 2 harvests. I have one around Memorial Day weekend, right? Mm-hmm. So the early spring honey, that's a lighter, clear honey. And then I have one in after 4th of July, which is a darker summer honey, right? Which is more of a tree-based. The spring is more flower-based. And you have 2 harvests. In Minnesota, you probably only get one because of the time of the blossoms, the weather. Right? Like my bees will start end of February, early March down here in Georgia. Once the weather hits over like 55, 60 degrees, they'll start flying out. They'll start collecting pollen and nectar, right? In a state like Minnesota, the season is so short. You're only going to get one harvest and it's late. So you're looking at probably March, April, May. They'll probably start in May, June, July. You probably get two months, right? Where down here, I'm getting end of February, call it March, April, May, June, July. I'm getting 5 months, where up there, you're probably getting 2 or 3. So the production levels aren't going to be as high. Yeah. And so if you're going to buy a honey business, I would say you want to buy it in a state down here, Georgia, Florida, where it's warmer weather, and you're going to get a bigger harvest, and you're going to be able to maximize, because it's the same amount of work. Yeah. Right? So if I have to set up my hives, feed my hives in the winter, I have to harvest the honey, all this, it's all the same amount of work. But when I go to harvest the honey, am I going to harvest 50 gallons from a hive, or am I going to harvest 10 gallons from a hive? It's the same harvest, but when you're basing it off of 2 months of pollen and nectar collection versus 5 months of pollen and nectar collection, you're not going to get the same, that same business in Georgia. You're looking at double the numbers.
Got you. Okay, so here's the thing. Well, first of all, that's amazing.
The winters, you have to manage it. In the winters, you have to feed them all winter because of the snow and the cold. No thanks.
And keep them warm, I guess, during the winter, because they typically huddle up and protect the queen during the colder weather.
Yeah, you have to insulate the hives and all this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So obviously they do a good job. They're a massive business. That's a commercial honey business. I wouldn't necessarily want it in Minnesota.
That's a very good, see, this is why I brought it to you, right? Because I would not have any interest in this one had it not been for my name.
If that was in Georgia, I would run it for you.
Okay, so now what you just said, I'm gonna make sure the team is looking for anyone's in Georgia, maybe Florida, whatever it may be.
So Georgia is good. Tennessee is great because you get all the mountain honey up there. You go Alabama, Mississippi, you've heard of Tupelo honey, Mississippi, like that whole, the Gulf Coast area, the southern, You want to go where there's good college football. I'll put it that way.
There we go.
Yeah, I said it right. You want SEC territory, right? So Texas to the Carolinas, and anywhere in between. So
okay.
Or Hawaii, right? Think about Manuka honey. You hear about Manuka honey as the healthiest. That's Hawaii, right? South America, all that. That's year round. They're producing honey year round because the weather is good all the time. It never gets below 60 degrees.
Very good insight. Very good insight. So my approach, though, when I'm looking at these businesses, I always say to myself, I'm not acquiring a business. I'm buying cash flow.
Yes.
Right. So the first thing I'm going to look at is, okay, well, how much cash flow would I get out of this? Can I pay myself at least X amount per month? Can I also put Y amount per month back into the business to help it grow? So the benefit here is, I understand what you're saying, could be more effective, more productive, more revenue in a different state. But if I'm looking at this, I would be like, okay, am I willing to settle for that amount of cash flow? Maybe, but then
is that annual or monthly cash flow?
That's their annual. That's why I said this is.
It's also very seasonal, right? So there's only 1 or 2 honey harvests a year, and then you're done. It's like farming.
Exactly. I think that asking price is because the real estate is probably included, and we'd carve out the real estate, whatever, blah blah. But the point is that we get to look at it and say, all right, this is the amount of cash flow I'm buying, and when you take that approach, it changes everything for you. Because I may look at a business that says they have a 2% profit margin. Now, if you were building a business from scratch and the profit margin was 2%, damn, that's not gonna work. It ain't gonna be easy for you to scale and reinvest in the company. But if I acquire a business that has a 2% profit margin and that 2% equals to $5 million, that's $5 million in cash flow that I am able to then use in the business for different things. Yes, we're gonna have to work on improving that profit margin, but it's not as necessary because I'm just looking at the cash flow overall. So it's a whole mindset change. Now, this one was, I'm not gonna say a joke, but this one is, hey, I know Kyle loves bees and he has bees. So I was like, all right, cool. Let's see what about this. But I'm gonna actually have the team look for in those states that you mentioned, see if we find anything.
So like in Georgia also, right? If if it's over 10 acres and you have over 6 hives, you qualify for the GATE, which is the Georgia Agricultural Tax Exemption. Yeah. So the property then becomes a full tax exemption. So if you bought a honey farm that had 50 acres, 100 acres, all that acreage is a complete tax exemption, right? Because of the agricultural. So some states have that. I don't know Minnesota well enough to do that, right? So from a honey perspective, it's an agricultural play. So you get all the agricultural perks and benefits, like even vehicles, right? You can get like what's called a farm, like you get a farm truck, right? It's a complete tax, all the tax incentives behind having tax vehicles, and you have to pay less fees and less this and less that, right? So there's a million things you can do with it other than just the numbers on the page when it comes to agricultural. But then you're also getting into the food side with the FDA because honey is a food product, right? Yeah. So then you have to also worry about the facility, right? The GMF, the good manufacturing practices, the facility clean, sanitation, and NSF certifications for the facility where it's being manufactured, distribution, all that, right? Because now you're responsible for food output and the quality of the food and disease and all that stuff. So there's a lot more to it than like what I do. I just make honey, give it to a lot of friends and family, sell it to a few people, and I make enough money to pay for it. I don't do it as like a cash flow business. Yeah. I would love to, but I don't have the time. I don't have time. It's
but
not exactly
so looking at something like this, regardless of where we would acquire it in, is going to have all of those things already. Met all of the requirements of the FDA and all those things.
I mean, this is a commercial honey operation, correct?
Exactly. And on top of that, it will have
candles, wax, all the other stuff.
All of that, definitely. So,
and what we want to do is also become a huge distributor of all the honey products and supplies, right? So, like the hives and the tools and the suits, you want to be selling all of that stuff, not just the honey and the wax and all that stuff. You want to sell everything that comes with being a beekeeper, right? There's companies out there like a Man Lake and some others that do that. So.
Okay, all right. Well, team, you can take down the flyer now, but Kyle and I are gonna get into the honeybee.
I'm already in it.
You're already in it. I love it, man.
Yeah, and my bee, I have my own bee Instagram. It's 5 Acre Farms.
Really?
So it's you can see me in my bee suits and the number 5. So it's the number 5 acre ACRE Farms GA. 5 Acre Farms GA is my Instagram, and it's got my honey. It's got me doing hive rescues and bee removals from rooftops and walls. And I have my kids. I got a 4-year-old, a 2 and a 4-year-old daughter. They have their own bee suits. They come out with me, and they love it. Yeah, it's awesome.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that, man. That's what's up. So, okay, we'll definitely add that to the list of contacts too, and I got to follow that page as well. So
the number 5 Acre Farms, ACRE Farms GA. 5 Acre Farms GA.
GA. All right, cool. We'll get that locked in for sure. So, Kyle, overall, I think we got to wrap this up with a quick pop, right? So we spoke about a lot of things, but we're gonna pop the whole concept of being an athlete and then coming out of that athletic career and being either a businessman, entrepreneur, or more importantly, an investor. What would you say are the pros of focusing on when you come out of your athletic career to be an investor?
For me, it's the same thing. And people overthink this, right? Think about everything that it takes to run a football team. I'm going to use football. I play football, right? You have a coach or the general manager who's the CEO, right? You have all the VPs, which are all the assistant coaches, right? And then you have the goal, right? The goal is to win the game, right? The goal is to sell a product, sell this and that, right? It's the same thing. You're a team, whatever your company is, whatever your business is, whatever your team is, whatever you're doing. Sometimes you might be a one-man show, right? One man, one woman show, like essentially I am, but I work with a bunch of teams. And so understanding the goals of the teams, right? And understanding the bigger picture, right? The from a business side, right? Understanding is like what the market is, right? The full market cap, the full scalability, which is again, coaching a football team. Like, can we win the championship? Like, is this a championship caliber team? Can we go win this championship, go in the Super Bowl? If not, what pieces do we need to bring in to make that happen? It's the same thing in business, right? What pieces do we need to make our business successful? Is it better tech, right? So for football, is it better equipment? Do we need better pads? Do we need better helmets? Do we need better ball? Or do we need better coaching? Do we need better strength conditioning? Do we need better nutrition? Do we need better athletes, right? Same as a business. Do I need better people? Do I need better developers? Do I need a better product? Do I need, better partners, right? So whatever it is it's the same thing. You have to get everybody on the same page. And then both require the same thing, a lot of hard work, right? There is an off season in sports. There's an off season in business, right? It's what you do behind the scenes. What are you doing behind the scenes? What are you doing when you're not in front of a client? What are you doing, on the weekends as a business, as a founder, as a CEO? Are you doing your homework? Are you doing your market research? Are you doing research on your clients? Do you have a call coming up with a big time prospect, a big customer? Are you doing your homework on them? It's just like, am I scouting the other team? Am I watching my film, right? Am I doing film study? Am I finding their strengths and their weaknesses and this and that? It's the same exact thing. It's just put differently. And so I think the problem that a lot of athletes have, and it's competitive. Business should be competitive. You should be competing with internally and externally. And I think the problem that a lot of athletes have is when they're done with sports, they feel like they're losing that competitive nature, that team, that camaraderie that they've had their whole life, that they've built up to. But they can find it in business if you find the right business that you're passionate about, you find the right team that pushes you to be better, and you have the right goal in mind. It's the same exact thing as playing sports. And so from an investor, right, same thing. If I was to tell you, you're a soccer fan, right? If I said, hey, if you wanted to invest in a soccer team, what would you look for? Right? You look for a team with a good coach, good players, right? Good resources, good partnerships, good sponsorships, a good stadium, a good this. It's the same thing for business, right? I want to find a business with a good opportunity, a good leader, good management, right? A good product. They're coachable. They're willing to learn. They have good partners. They have good this and that. And so to me, it's the same exact thing as running or managing or building a sports team as it is running or managing and building a business. And from an athlete perspective, I tell all the athletes, just go do the same thing you did. What made you successful in your career in sports is going to make you successful in your career in business.
I love it.
Whatever it is, though. If it's real estate, if it's car washes, if it's beekeeping, if it's tech, it doesn't matter what it is. Find what you're passionate about. Find what makes you tick, right? For your first 20 years of your life, it was soccer or football or basketball or baseball, right? Now, find whatever that is, that passion, that what wakes you up in the morning at 5 o'clock to go to a morning workout. What's going to want to wake you up at 5 o'clock to get some work done? Whatever that is, right? Go do that. And do it the same way and to the same level as you were to try to be the best athlete you could be. Go try to be the best business person and the best entrepreneur, investor, CEO you can be. And it takes all the same skill set, in my opinion.
So you basically gave the pro and opportunity there, as we just popped it up a second ago. So that opportunity, is getting back that camaraderie feeling that you left your sports.
Purpose.
That purpose. There we go. Perfect. That purpose, continuing.
What's your purpose? What's your why? Right? We talk about this. What's your why?
Yeah. I love that. So most importantly, though, what would you say is the biggest problem that exists when you're an athlete and then trying to make that transition into the investor world?
It's the same thing I talked about at the mastermind event is your mindset. It's your mind. It's in your head, right? And we talked about all the things, and this is a whole other podcast. We talked about all the things people really think they're focused on in their life, right? All what they think their why is. Then moving up the chain, right, to it actually falls back on them, right? It needs to come back to you. Like, are you being the best version of yourself? Are you because the best version of you, the best version of me, the best version of Beez is the best thing for your business, is the best thing for your family, is the best people for the thing around you. And what controls you, what controls me, what controls anyone who's listening to this is their mindset, right? And how to train your mindset to overcome obstacles, focus on positive, right? See the optimistic side of opportunities, to strengthen your mental toughness, right? Your self-awareness. What are you good? Like, again, knowing what you're good at, knowing what you're not good at, knowing what you're passionate about, knowing what's going to make you tick, right? It all comes back to your mindset, your mentality, and your mental strength, mental toughness. Again, everything you learn in sports, being an athlete, is the same thing in business. Right? When your coach, the number one thing my coach always said to me growing up, which still sticks to me today, is actually two things. One, he always would say, get your mind right. Get your mind right. When we would get ready for a game, it was get your mind right. It wasn't get physically ready, get this, get that. No, get your mind right? Be ready to perform at a high level, at the highest level you need, right? And then what my high school coach always told me, because I was a quarterback, was have amnesia, right? Have short-term memory. Have short-term memory loss, because whether you're in business, investing, you name it, you're going to have problems. You're going to have bumps in the road, right? If you linger on those and you latch onto those, you're never going to be successful. You need to see the problem, right? Know that the problem's there, then immediately flip the switch to finding a solution and put that problem behind you. Amnesia, right? Forget about it. Move on to the next thing. Focus on the positive. Move on to the next thing. So again, a lot of same sports characteristics and traits that works in the sports world. For me, it all comes back to your mindset, your mental game, and which reflects your work ethic, your attitude, your perspective. And that is, to me, the problem is people aren't aware of their mindset. They're not aware that they control it. They're not aware that they can prove it. And people deal with a lot of emotions these days. People talk about mental health. People talk about all this stuff. And to me, it's all a reflection of your mindset, reflection of your body, your physical, your mental, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. So you helped us to pop what this really looks like, right? Yeah. You helped us to pop the entire aspect of, going from an athlete and an athletic career and switching into the business world as an entrepreneur, as an investor. I think that and many more things are all based on mindset. That's the first thing. You got to make certain mindset shifts. You got to believe that you can get these things done, because if you already don't believe it, then you already defeated yourself.
Yes.
Right. So that's like the first step. But then now it's time to change your mindset on different things. Open your minds to different things. Just like what you mentioned earlier about the once you hit 10 acres, then you get that tax credit. And you may not even have known that existed. But if you're not willing to learn these new things, like we spoke before about Donald Trump burying his ex-wife on the golf course, and it was tax exempt, plus, you know, a bunch of other things can't be seized by the government, all of that. There are things that exist in this world that a lot of people feel like, oh wow, that's above me. That's not for me. That's for other people. No, you can do it too. So you got to get your mindset first.
Learn how to play chess, not checkers.
There we go. Chess.
Everyone's playing chess. All the billionaires in the world, all the big time. Elon Musk plays chess every day, not checkers.
Yep. 100%.
Stop playing checkers. Start playing chess.
Let's go. So Kyle, listen, man, thanks so much. This has been a great conversation. But tell the people again, how's the best way to get in touch with you so that, you know, they can reach you online, wherever it may be.
Yeah, I mean, you can reach out to me on Instagram. I don't have a business Instagram. People keep telling me I need to build my brand and create a business account. I'm busy enough without ever having social media, but my Instagram is there. That's probably the best way. My email is kyle@comcastsportstech.com. You can shoot me an email there as well if anyone needs to email me business inquiries if you're interested in getting into tech or startups or investing or whatnot. I'm try to be available when I can, and thanks for having me, man. This was awesome, and I hope we do it again. We can do a whole nother one on mindset and get into that whole world, and less business, more mindset, mentality, that whole side of it. Because that's what I really, that's when people ask me what separates me from other people. I think that's it, and I love to share that message and my mindset and my attitude with others as well. So.
Definitely, bro. Definitely.
I'm never allowed back on this show if I didn't curse too much. I don't even know if I cursed at all.
I don't think you curse at all, man.
Shit. Yeah, would love to come back if you'd ever have me, and I'll get BMAC on the call too. So.
Oh yeah, that'd be great too. Let's definitely get that set up, man. I'd love to have you back, keep the conversation going, and maybe the next time we'll come back and tell everybody about our new beekeeping business or something.
There you go.
All right, well, hey, Kyle, it's been a pleasure, man. Everybody, if you don't want to miss these types of conversations, then you know that you gotta subscribe. You want to like and comment. You want to, give some feedback on what you thought about what Kyle said, how it affects you, the things that you may have learned during this conversation. But it all starts with making sure that you're subscribed on every podcast platform. And if you're on here on YouTube watching it, making sure that you're subscribed to the channel with notification bells turned on and everything so that you don't miss a conversation like this, any information like this ever. Kyle, thank you again, brother. It's a pleasure. Looking forward to the next one.
Yes, sir.
See you soon, bro.
Thank you.
Have a good episode.